It's Monday, the 9th of December, 2024. 51 years ago in 1973, a freedomizer was born, and we'll talk about that later. But today we are going to cover some important news as much as we can cover. Some of the things that we are going to cover in the first hour: Make Canada Great Again hats labeled extremist material in leaked CAF survey. We'll try and dig deeper on that. And by this point, everybody know the assassination of the CEO of United Health. And there's a photo of the assassin on X with him showing smiling, and the police found some bullet casings in the area with the inscription on the casing that says delay, deny, defend. However, there's a book that came out regarding insurance fraud. The title of the book is Delay, Deny, Defend: Why Insurance Companies Don't Pay Claims and What You Can Do About It, written by J.M. Feynman. Is it possible that the cause of this assassination was a denial of an insurance claim? I used to be licensed insurance agent, so I'll talk about that a little bit. On the technocracy side of our coverage, we'll talk about David O. Sachs. Trump has stopped our technocrat David O. Sachs for AI and crypto czar. Folks, I was telling you last episode that I really am a believer that Donald Trump is a godsend, but the people that had surrounded him and some of his picks for his cabinet is very worrisome. Last two stories that we are going to try to cover if we have time today: UFO sightings. The Pentagon reveals cause of the 1960s uptick in extraterrestrial activity. So the Pentagon has talked about that. Let's dive in a little bit. What did they say about it? And last but not the least, if we have time today, we'll cover, that the godfather of AI came from the University of Toronto, the city where I am a resident in right now. Godfather of AI warns of powerful people who wants humans replaced by machine. Again, Godfather of AI warns of powerful people who wants humans replaced by machines. I'm your host, Ordinary Joe. This is Freedom Fighter Radio. Let's get the show started right now.
Freedom Fighter Radio, what is up? Woo!
Shout out to Freedom Fighter Radio and Joe. You're doing great work, brother, and I love it. All right, always.
Make sure you listen to the Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Show.
I'm on Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Joe Show. That's quite a mouthful.
Yes.
Hey guys, this is Chris Sky. Listen to Freedom Fighter Radio. They're here today, back in the blue, and so am I.
Welcome back, folks. This is Freedom Fighter Radio. I'm your host, Ordinary Joe. Thank you for joining me today. Before we start off with our first story that we'd like to cover and give some thoughts on, I thought we'll have a little bit of fun. And 51 years ago in 1973, yours truly was given an opportunity to walk the face of the earth. Well, first cried and be spanked on the behind, and then sleep a lot for the first few months. Well, I think maybe most babies don't really sleep a lot at night. They keep their parents up. And definitely I did that myself. But other than being normal and exactly what other babies would do, the year 1973 is really interesting for the turn of events in our world history. Here are some highlights what happened in the year 1973. Do you know that the Vietnam War ended in the year 1973? President Richard Nixon announced a suspension of offensive action in North Vietnam on January 15, 1973. The Paris Peace Accords were also signed in the year 1973. Also, oil embargo. Arab members of the OPEC imposed an embargo on the United States in response to the U.S. decision to resupply the Israeli military during the Arab-Israeli War. This led to the first oil crisis. That was the year 1973, folks. But I think as a biblical Christian, one of the most important landmark on the year 1973 was the Yom Kippur War. We all know that this conflict began in October 6, 1973, between Israel and a coalition of Arab states led by Egypt and Syria. The United Kingdom joins the EEC, or the European Economic Community, in January 1st, 1973, which later became the European Union. Oh my goodness, all the things that we're fighting against happened in the year I was born. Pinochet and there's a coup d'etat in Chile against Pinochet. In September 11, 1973, military jets bombed the presidential palace in Santiago, Chile. President Salvador Allende killed himself, and General Agustino Pinochet began a 17-year dictatorship the year 1973. What else is scandalous during the year 1973? We could say a big scandal in the history of the United States is the Watergate scandal. Happened in July 13, 1973, Haldeman revealed that almost all of President Nixon's Oval Office conversation had been recorded. This was the first indication to investigators of a previously unknown source of evidence in the Watergate scandal. Do you know that your mobile phone, your smartphone, your iPhones, your Androids were invented by Martin Cooper of Motorola in 1973? Martin Cooper Motorola made the first mobile phone call to his rival at Bell Labs in 1973. Hip hop was invented in 1973 by DJ Kool Herc. He is credited with inventing hip hop on August 11, 1973. He combined the technique of the break, which is breakdancing, with rapping, which is then a DJ switches back and forth between two copies of the same record to extend an instrumental breakdown. So there are many more, especially in technocracy, that happened in 1973. I think it has very much to do also with the Trilateral Commission, which we are going to cover in the next few days. But folks, those are some of just the things that I can mention. A few honorable mention what happened in 1973. But the important story that we are going to cover today is that 51 years ago, weird things are happening, but 51 years later, in 2024 in Canada, the Canadian Armed Forces did not only allow nail polish and dyed hair and cross-dressing and also tampons in male's washroom in the Canadian Armed Forces in the barracks, but now they are asking surveys on military personnel's opinions, which in the court of law would be considered as a leading question. So the first item of our story that I'd like to cover today, and Harris Faulkner of Ratio has made an extensive report on this, which I will provide the link below so you can listen to his full 18-minute report. I think is very good report. But we'll just kind of touch on a little bit, and I'll give you my thoughts on this crazy story. So, Make Canada Great Again hats labeled as extremist material in a leaked CAF survey, Canadian Armed Forces survey. See, these surveys are weaponized against the psyche. It's a psyop weaponization on how our military personnel should behave. So this is the story that we are going to cover today. Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back.
For the best price in town on your flooring, call Complete Flooring. The unique shop-at-home experience means samples are brought right to your door, and because we don't pay salesmen, there's no markup on our products. Complete Flooring does the installation of new hardwood floors and sands them using a dustless machine, making the sanding process cleaner. We also specialize in refinishing, staining, and custom staining of existing hardwood floors. Our Green Guard certified environmentally friendly finish is now available. Drying in a quarter of the time of regular stains means you can get back in your house sooner, and it will last longer. If you're a homeowner, general contractor, or a building or property manager, Complete Flooring services are available to you. So give us a call today.
So for our first story, we're talking about Make Canada Great Again hats. In the survey, well, mentioned in the survey at the CAF, and they label Make Canada Great Again hats as extremist material. A leaked survey sent to all Canadian soldiers organized by anti hate researchers at the Ontario Tech University asked soldiers if they have purchased extremist merchandise such as Make Canada Great Again hat, if they have listened to extremist music, or if they think that the government restricted freedoms too much during the pandemic, all in an effort to root out extremists inside the CAF. This is the last thing that the military needs. We need battle hardened lethal troops that are able to neutralize the enemy. Canada does not need fewer patriots, more transgenders, and more diversity. This is getting insane. This is according to Harrison Faulkner, the host of Ratio and a co-host of Fake News Friday at the True North News. Folks, what are your thoughts about this? Because remember about 2 years ago when we had an opportunity to have James Stop on the show while he is in the middle of his second leg of his march, which was from the Maritimes back to Ottawa. And the first leg of his march was from British Columbia to Ottawa. And we went to Ottawa on Canada Day weekend to receive James Stop on his march, across Canada march. That was the longer leg of the race. So during that interview, it also happened to be the same season. This is just right after the big Freedom Convoy in Ottawa. Oh, it happened that the cabinet minister of the Canadian Armed Forces back then was Miss Anand. They have allowed crazy things, meanwhile restricting free speech. That is typical of many armed forces in the world, that military personnel, members of the army or the air force or the navy, cannot express their own thoughts. But I think the fundamentals regarding military personnel not expressing their political views is because they need to be neutral. But this survey and the kind of demagoguery that the members of the Canadian Armed Forces are receiving from their headship is very, very blatantly very political and leaning to one kind of thought pattern in society. And it is very left leaning ideology that they are pushing towards the regular ordinary Jane and Joe members of our military. In Harrison Faulkner's report about the survey, clearly he read some of the survey questions. Clearly, in my opinion, it is a gaslighting question to a weaponized psyop to inflict mental stress, psychological stress to the members of the Armed Forces of Canada. Some of the questions are like, have you ever sported Make Canada Great Again hat? Uh, well, the way it was worded is, have you sported extremist materials such as Make Canada Great Again hats? To 5 years, have you done any of the following? Like an extremist group post on social media? Yes, no, or prefer not to disclose. At least they have that third option. But regardless, you know, l- let me just read all of these and I'll tell you why I thought this survey is weaponized gaslighting against the military personnel. Another question is, in the past 5 years, have you done any of the following? A second question in the lineup says, have you donated to an extremist group cause? Well, who defines what's an extremist group? So, if you donated to the truckers convoy, is that qualify as a donation to an extremist group cause? Have you purchased an extremist group merchandise such as Make Canada Great Again hat? Have you provided strategic advice or training to an extremist group? Yeah, so that's all that I have. But asking those questions the way it was asked already, even though you say, prefer not to disclose, just the mere fact that you have to go through this survey and making a statement that have you ever purchased an extremist item such as Make Canada Green Hat? In the courts of law, this kind of questioning is called a leading question. What is a leading question? It is a psyop trap, an entrapment, because you can only say yes or no. If you say yes, then you're an extremist. But if you say no, then what you are saying is that no, I have not purchased an extremist item such as make a make Canada great again hat, but you are acknowledging that it is an extremist hat by just saying no. And if you do not answer the question, you are giving suspicion that probably you did. That's why you do not want to answer the question. So this is gaslighting, weaponized kind of psyop against the military members of our military personnel. What place or what under what authority does the leadership of the military to be probing on military members' opinions? So we came to an age in our society now that even your opinions must be probed and must be proven to line up with what is the official stand of the organization. This is that is what I call an extremist leadership in the military. Folks, do you agree that this is crossing the line, or do you think this is accepted? I will not be surprised that a lot of people who would listen to this post, would listen to this broadcast, would say, yes, we need to probe members of the military. We need to probe members of society in general. What are their thoughts? Because that's how they will package it. Is this is how we will root out the extremists in our society? But who defines what's an extremist opinion? Those who are the victors of the uh, the high positions of government and authority, they define what is extremist, and they define what is acceptable and not acceptable. Anything that presents an alternative view become an extremist voice, an extremist opinion. Like you and me. Some of you do not agree with the official narrative. Should we then be avoiding our opinions because it is labeled by the authority as extremist? This is out of control, folks. This is out of control.
All right, on the next story for the day, the plot thickens in the assassination of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, as New York Police Department investigators have discovered shell casings at the shooting area engraved with the words "Deny, Defend, and Depose." Folks, what does that mean? The shooter, still at large, appeared to have targeted Thompson, waiting for him early Wednesday morning outside of the um, New York Hilton Midtown Hotel, firing multiple shots from a suppressed 9mm handgun, killing the high-level insurance executive. Officials familiar with the investigation told the New York Times that the words "deny, defend, and depose" were found on 9mm bullet casing at the scene. They also noted that the ballistics tests are currently underway. There is a Twitter or X. There's an X post posting on X by the NYPD News, and it reads like this: "Below are photos of a person of interest wanted for questioning regarding the Midtown Manhattan homicide on December 4th. This does not appear to be a random act of violence. All indications are that it was premeditated, targeted attack. The full investigative effort of okay, it was okay. Let me see. The full investigative effort of the NYPD are continuing, and we are asking for the public help. If you have any information about this case, call Crime Stopper at 1-800-577-TIPS. There is a reward up to $10,000 for information leading to an arrest and conviction. In the photo, which I'm gonna put on the post production here on the edit, there is the suspect. Two photos of the suspect. The one on the left actually has him smiling. He was smiling. This is only in the same hour as the assassination was carried out, killing the high level executive at United Health. So I have some thoughts about this incident, but let's just continue on with the story for now, and then I'll give you my thoughts about it. The words etched into the metal casing may have multiple meanings, with many on X indicating the words point back to a 2010 book, Delay, Deny, Defend. Why insurance companies don't pay claims and what you can do about it, in which author Jane Feynman exposes insurance injustice and a plan for consumers and lawmakers to fight back. Here's a summary of the book, and it's featured on Amazon. You can actually buy the book on Amazon. An extended summary can be found on a link that's provided in this news article. The denial of valid insurance claims is not occasional for accidental or for fault of a few bad employees. The result of an increasing and systemic focus on maximizing profits by major companies such as Allstate and State Farm, citing dozens of stories of victims who were unfairly denied payment. The book explains how people can be more careful when shopping for policies and what to do when pursuing a disputed claim. It also lays out a plan for the legal reform needed to prevent future abuses. The title of the book is Delay, Deny, Defend. The inscription on the bullet is Deny, Defend, and Depose. There's a little variance here. The first word of the book, which is delay, is not found in the description on the bullet. The inscription on the bullet adds another word, the word depose. So the actual inscription on the bullet casing is deny, defend, and depose. The original book that a lot of Twitter and or X members of the X community are pointing to this book. The book title is Delay, Deny, Defend. And the subtitle is Why Insurance Companies Don't Pay Claims and What You Can Do About It. The internet search term Delay, Deny, Defend exploded nationwide on Wednesday after the bombshell bullet casing report was dropped in the news cycle. Recent data from Lending Tree shows that United Healthcare had some of the highest claim denial rates by the insurance company in the US. The assassination of the high-level healthcare executive is unfolding like a real-time Netflix murder mystery show, according to Decoding Fox News user on Twitter at Decoding Fox News. And this is what she said: "I'm completely obsessed with this now. The words on the shell casings are similar to the title of the book, Delay, Deny, Defend, which is critical of insurance industry. Police also don't think that the shooter was a professional assassin." Well, that's what the police is saying, but I listened to another podcast of someone who is an expert on weapons, and he feels like this is a wannabe professional. There are some mistakes on the way he carried out this assassination, according to a professional gun handler. But he feels like this guy was paid to carry this out. Well, we'll explore that angle a little later on. So Yashar Ali on X posted, "Breaking: the words deny, defend, and depose was discovered by detectives on the shell casings found in the scene where Brian Thompson, the CEO of major insurance group United Healthcare, was gunned down, police sources told ABC News late Wednesday evening. Another post by Avi Bitterman, who is a medical doctor. He says on his post, this is a play on delay, deny, defend, a three-tier tactic used by insurance. This is another post by Avi Bitterman, who is actually a medical doctor. This is what he posted. He says, "This is a play on delay, deny, defend, a three-tiered tactic used by insurance companies to avoid paying out claims. This is evidence that the motive is, in fact, what many suspected it to be." BNO News posted on Twitter that says, "New killer of Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson wrote, deny, defending the post on bullet casings, according to ABC. Citizen journalists on X are trying to piece together the puzzle of who the professional assassins might be." So one thing I could tell right off from reading this story, folks, that I don't think that the book, which has the subtitle that says why insurance companies don't pay claims and what you can do about it, a book written by Jay Feynman with the title Delay, Deny, Defend, I don't think he recommended on the book to assassinate CEOs or high level executives of insurance companies. I don't think that is in the book. That is not part of what the book discusses as what can be done, right? However, I would say that the gunman, the opinion of some experts, they think that the gunman might have been a gun for hire by someone possibly who denied had been denied insurance claims. So whether the gunman was the one who was denied insurance claims or he was hired by someone who was denied insurance claim and he was a gun for hire, an assassin for hire, I can see, not to justify the action, but I can see what are the factors that led to this incident. I used to have a license to write insurance policies. I used to have a license as an insurance agent. That is one of the least favorite, although my directors had always pushed us in the office where I used to work on Bay Street here in Toronto, which is your Wall Street in the United States. We call it Bay Street in Canada. Our directors would push us to be part of our portfolio, to always push insurance to our clients, which I always decline, or what's the word? I always defy the orders and the mandates of my director. I'm not totally against insurance, but during my practice, when I used to sell mutual funds and insurance, I would only, most of the time, sell insurance to someone who is applying for a mortgage or applying for an investment loan. Because my personal conviction, I think that insurance, any kind of insurance, life insurance, long-term disability, short-term disability insurance, all of those, in my opinion, really makes sense for a financial portfolio only when you are either getting a big mortgage or a big investment loan. But in terms of insuring your life when you have a dependence, I do agree that can apply on certain situations, but I don't think it's for everybody. I don't think it's for everybody. I think for the most, the majority members of the masses do not focus on trying to be self-insured because of how our society has been socially engineered to 90% of our the members of our society are planning their life towards employment and retirement instead of entrepreneurial dreams, which part of being an entrepreneur when it comes to the aspect of insurance, which is important part of a portfolio. A lot of entrepreneurs would actually plan their insurance with the option of self-insuring. Self-insuring is when you have enough savings and enough capital to cover in case of whatever, right? What you're insuring for: death, disability, loss of employment, or whatever emergency that could happen in the future. When you are self-insuring, it's not only that you are paying into a policy or called a premium. You're not paying a premium. See, w- why I think sometimes the insurance industry and insurance policy makes sense. It makes sense for everybody who doesn't have any entrepreneurial aspirations or any aspirations to be self-insured, because what an insurance policy, or the mechanics of how insurance works, is that it's like a pooled fund of a community of subscribers or policy holders. Basically, everyone is paying for everybody's risk mitigation funding. So we know that life is full of risks, and when you join an insurance pool, basically when you buy an insurance policy, is like joining an insurance pool of funds. So it's like the community is paying for or covering whatever risk the individual might incur. And the math behind it is that not every member of that community will have the same emergency on the same time. Everybody in that community at some point will experience an emergency or a death or a disability or a medical emergency or a medical ailment or a loss of employment or a disaster. But the actuary behind the insurance idea is that not all of the members of that pool of funds, which we call insurance, will have the same emergency at the same time, which makes it a sensible math for people to be joining a pool of funds such as an insurance, because that pool of fund is there ready for anybody who will have an emergency, and it will be able to afford the emergency to cover the cost of the individual, because not every individual will have the same emergency at the same time. And while that pool of fund is on standby, it can earn more funds, it can earn more money. But the problem is, a lot of the executives in these insurance companies will give themselves millions of dollars in bonuses. Meanwhile, they're tightening up, instead of tightening up the pool of fund by actually being careful on what policies to write, uh, quantifying or actually doing a good job in the actuarial, how much, because you can mathematically kind of measure risks, levels of risk. Mathematically, you can gauge the probability or the possibility of the level of risk, and that's how you quantify the amount of policy or the amount of premium that needs to be paid into the policy. And in the end, the policy makes money or the fund makes money, and the individuals who subscribe to that fund, pool of fund, which we call insurance, also um, is insured to mitigate the risk. But the entire industry is corrupted. That's a problem. The corruption in the industry is that instead of tightening the belt in things that make sense, such as doing a good job on assessing risk, doing a good job. Do not write policies for everybody just because they can afford a minimum premium, and actually paying out the claims when it's a valid claim. Instead, they're denying a lot of claims because they put a lot of legal caveats that is impossible to meet those the person who's buying the policy, the person who is the insured are most of the time are regular ordinary Jen and Joes who are not very uh, do not have a very strong legalese, orientation. And the way the legalese on the documents on the policies, the way it's written, is that it's making the policyholder impossible to claim at the end. And this is how they tighten the belt, which is the wrong way of doing it. The right way of doing it is paying out when a claim is rightfully being claimed, when people actually got into an emergency, when people, because the vast majority of policyholders are not insurance frauders. They're not defrauding the insurance companies. That's the vast majority of policy holders do not intend to defraud the insurance companies. Yes, those things do happen, but they are the minority, um, fraudsters. They are the minority, they're not the majority. So that's, in my opinion, my personal opinion. I prefer that people aim for another path, which is entrepreneurial and self-insuring option or path. 99% of the members of society are going to the easy route. The easy route is to just buy into established insurance policies, but a big chunk of those claims are denied. And so it leads to this kind of situation, which is not justified, which must be condemned, because you don't fix the problem in the industry by assassinating executives. But I can see what led to this situation, and the leaders of the industry should correct this problem right now, because the fraud is happening the other way around. The companies are defrauding the members of the public. This is the problem. So that's my thought about that. There's more I can say about it, but we need to go to the next story. So don't go away, folks. We'll be right back.
For our next story, folks, we are going to weigh in on this assassination of the United Healthcare CEO. The bullet that was found in the area, the casings on the bullet has inscription, and it says deny, defend, and depose. What is that all about, folks? All right, let's read the story. The plot thickens in the assassination of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. A New York Police Department investigators have discovered shell casings at the shooting area, engraved with words deny, defend, and depose. Let's do that again, folks, because there's sirens going on outside.
Welcome back to the Freedom Fighter Radio. I'm your host, Ordinary Joe. This is the last story that we are going to cover for today. And then tomorrow we are going to continue on with some UFO sightings. Tomorrow we are going to cover
Pentagon reveals cause of the 1960 uptick in extraterrestrial activity, UFO sightings. That is from the Independent News. And then we are going to cover the futurist article on the Byte, godfather of AI, which we know is Jeffrey Hinton from the University of Toronto here in the city where I am a resident of. Godfather of AI warns of powerful people who want humans replaced by machines. Intelligence gives power, so who's going to control that power? And last but not the least, we are going to try and cover a little bit more on the technocracy, which is some more thoughts regarding David O. Sachs. But today we are going to start with David O. Sachs. He is a technocrat, and according to Patrick Wood, which is our favorite anti-technocracy researcher, and this is the title on Technocracy News that we are going to cover. But the original story appeared in Zero Hedge, written by Tyler Durden. But I think Tyler Durden is actually pro David Sachs or pro technocracy. Not necessarily technocracy, but their spidey sense is not so strong on the defense against technocracy on Zero Hedge. So he is very, in my sense, I think he's very friendly to David O. Sachs. But that's where the original story came from. But we are going to um, kind of resound what Patrick Wood's thoughts are on this particular story from Zero Hedge. And I concur. I have my own, but I'm very much inclined to lean towards the same thought that Patrick would have regarding this. The title on the article at Technocracy News is Trump Taps ARC Technocrat David O. Sachs for AI and Crypto Czar. I told you yesterday and the day before, and I mean the episodes prior to this episode today, is that I feel like Donald Trump has been a godsend, but the people that surround him, just like his first term, he was surrounded by the swamp. But this time around, I feel like he's surrounded by technocrats. So we need to continue to pray for Donald Trump. That begins with Elon Musk. And Elon Musk fellow PayPal founder Peter Thiel is now also in the mix of technocrats that has surrounded Donald Trump, because Peter Thiel is the one who brought Vice President J.D. Vance into the Trump team. And Peter Thiel was a fellow co-founder of Elon Musk for PayPal. Another PayPal executive who started PayPal together with Peter Thiel and Elon Musk is David Sachs, right? So let's begin with getting to know David Sachs a little bit. All right, this is his mini biography here. He was born in 1972, 1 year before I was born. He was born in South Africa, just like Elon Musk was born in South Africa. David Oliver Sachs, born May 25th, 1972, is a South African American entrepreneur, author, and investor in internet technology firms. So a big tech oligarch, a big tech billionaire, and he is actually a co-host at the All In podcast. And I'll tell you a little bit about All In podcast. These are four technocrats in a podcast, four tech billionaires hosting a podcast together. So we'll talk about that a little later. He is a general partner at Craft Ventures, a venture capital fund he co-founded in late 2017. He is a co-host of the All In podcast, that's what I was talking about, alongside Chamath Palihapitiya, very hard to pronounce his last name, Jason Calacanis, and David Freiberg. Previously, Sachs was the COO and product leader at PayPal, and founder and CEO of Yammer. In 2016, he became interim CEO of Zenefit for 10 months. In 2017, Sachs
co-founded Craft Ventures, an early-stage venture fund. His angel investments include Facebook, Uber, SpaceX, Palantir Technologies. Folks, there's so many sinister stuff going on at Palantir Technologies and Airbnb. In December 2024, President-elect Donald Trump named Sachs as the White House AI and crypto czar for the incoming administration. Let's know a little bit about the All In podcast. This is he is a co-host. He's a co-host of the All In podcast together with um, venture capitalist Chamath Palihapitiya, Jason Calacanis, and David Friedberg. The podcast covers current events, market trends, political issues, and industry insights. The history of this podcast, it was launched in 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic. The hosts, who are longtime friends and colleagues, started a podcast to discuss pressing issues and share their perspectives in a broader audience, quickly receiving a large following. You know, they are leaning conservative, leaning Republican on that podcast. But I don't know if I have published a pre-recorded clip regarding, I think around 80 billionaires supports Trump and 100 plus, around 120 billionaires supports Kamala Harris during the elections. And although the type of billionaires that were supporting Kamala Harris are the kinds that we know to be enemies of the state or enemies of the ordinary Jane and Joes, like George Soros, Bill Gates, and the CEO of BlackRock. On the Trump side, the billionaires that surrounded the Trump side are the technocrats, the PayPal founders, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and now one more of the supporters of the Trump team is David O. Sachs. Like I said, folks, we need to continue praying for Donald Trump because he is now surrounded by these people who wants to bring in technocracy. And I have said many times that the end game is transhumanism and technocracy. That's why one of our favorite authors that we quote on here on the Freedom Fighter Radio is the writings and the research in the books that Patrick Wood and his former collaborator in research, professor at Columbia, Anthony Sutton. And Anthony Sutton has a few years back, has already passed away, but Patrick Wood has continued his research on the Trilateral Commission, technocracy, and transhumanism. This is the end game, folks. We cannot take this for granted. So don't go away, folks. We'll be right back with the proper story regarding Trump names David Sachs as White House AI and crypto czar. On the other side of the break, only here on the Freedom Fighter Radio. I'm your host, Ordinary Joe. Don't go away. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, folks. We are covering this very important story on Zero Hedge, which Trump is surrounded. Um, there are so many on his cabinet picks that I like, just like his choice of the new FBI director. What's his name again? Okay, let me get that for you. It's an Indian name, so sometimes um, sometimes it escapes my Cash Patel, right? Cash Patel. I think that's a very good choice. Cash Patel would be a good brand new FBI director. I like his pick on RFK as the Make America Healthy Again czar. I like his choice for the borders czar, right? But I have a lot of worry regarding the Doge, DOGE, and oh yeah, I forgot that we are going to maybe on this particular episode or the next episode tomorrow, Tuesday, we'll cover a short snippet on one of our favorite congressmen, Tim Burchett. He uh, he gave his thoughts regarding the Doge, DOGE, the department that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy will be. Folks, a lot of you probably don't know about. Vivek is also a billionaire. Vivek Ramaswamy started. He's a billionaire. Also, he started um, a many corporations in the big corp uh, space of the United States. So let's get on. This is our last story for today. Again, tomorrow we have three more stories that involves technocracy, the fourth industrial revolution, and we will be including UFO coverage tomorrow. But technocracy is the last story that we are going to cover today from Zero Hedge by Tyler Durden, which we have covered many of Tyler Durden's article here on the Freedom Fighter Radio in the past. He is one of our favorite authors on Zero Hedge. But his warming up to technocrats is a little bit concerning to me, such as David O. Sachs. Okay, the title on Zero Hedge article is that Trump names David Sachs, Sacks, not Sachs. David Sachs as White House AI and crypto czar. So artificial intelligence. Tomorrow we are going to cover the godfather of AI, which is Jeffrey Hinton. He is already hinting that there are people who wants to replace humans with robots. That's the story for tomorrow. But David Sachs is now going to be the czar for AI and cryptocurrency. As much as Donald Trump have stated emphatically that he is going to fight and he will not allow CBDC, which is the central bank digital currency, cryptocurrency is not too far off from using currency as a weapon against the ordinary Jane and Joe. So we're not done with the fight, folks. A lot of technocrats are hijacking the second Trump presidency, the second term Trump presidency. Donald Trump has named David Sachs as the White House AI and crypto czar, according to Thursday night's post on Truth Social. He will work on a legal framework so that crypto industry has the clarity it has been asking for and can thrive in the US, Trump said in a post, adding that Sachs will guide policy for administration and artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency, two areas critical to the future of American competitiveness. And I will put on the edit here on the post production Donald Trump's post on Truth Social. It reads, David will focus on making America the clear global leader in both areas. And this is the post on Truth Social by Donald Trump. It reads as, I am pleased to announce that David O. Sachs will be the White House AI and crypto czar. In this important role, David will guide policy for the administration and artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency, two areas critical to the future of American competitiveness. David will focus on making America the clear global leader in both areas. He will safeguard free speech online and steer us away from big tech bias and censorship. David is a big tech guy, so I don't know how the police will police itself. So that is worrisome. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and we'll give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt for selecting these particular individuals. We'll see how it goes, but very worrisome. I'm very worried. Where are they going to take not only America but the rest of us in society in the rest of the world? Where are they going to take America and the rest of the world? Is it a technocratic? Uh, uh, Patrick Wood calls it the techno populism, technocratic populism. All right, so according to Donald Trump, he said on his tweet on his Truth Social tweet, he will safeguard free speech online and steer us away from big tech bias and censorship. He will work on a legal framework so the crypto industry has the clarity it has been asking for and can thrive in the US. David will also lead the Presidential Council of Advisors for Science and Technology. Huh, I'm really worried about this selection, this pick. Off note, Sachs has been buying Bitcoin since 2012. Uh, Capital, the user name at Capital News HQ on X has posted this post. White House AI crypto czar David Sachs says he's been buying Bitcoin since 2012, and there's a video that I'll try to put in on to this segment and play it for you. Now, this is the feeling is mutual, David. According to the author Tyler Durden, this was his note on the tweet that David Sachs posted on X. And David Sachs says this: I've long followed and appreciated Ad Zero Hedge for its irreverent market analysis. I never understood why it was censored until now. It was the behest of Big Pharma, right? That was David Sachs, and the feeling is mutual. David Durden says, or I mean Tyler Durden says to David, right? So that is the story on Zero Hedge. But let's see now what our favorite author Patrick Wood says about this article from Zero Hedge. David Sachs is an art technocrat who was part of the so-called PayPal mafia that was founded by Peter Thiel. As a venture capitalist, he was an angel investor in companies like Facebook, Uber, SpaceX, Palantir Technologies, and Airbnb. Now he will be Trump's czar on AI and crypto policy. Sachs joined other art technocrats, Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, Peter Thiel, and his protege VP-elect J.D. Vance. Trump is showing his true colors by bonding with technocrats to make America great again. Welcome to techno-populism. And the signatory is TN Editor, or Technocracy News Editor. We all know that is most likely Patrick Wood, my favorite author and whistleblower on technocracy. Donald Trump has named David Sachs as White House AI crypto czar, according to a Thursday night post to Social. He will work on a legal framework. Okay, this is just regurgitating what was written on Zero Hedge. But for those of you who are very new in following my podcast, one of my favorite persons to be quoting on many of the thoughts and insight that I shared is Patrick Woods. And Patrick Woods is a leading, and this is a little bit of description who Patrick Wood is. Patrick Wood is a leading and critical expert on sustainable development, green economy, Agenda 21, 2030 Agenda, and historic technocracy. He is the author of Technocracy Rising, the Trojan Horse of Global Transformation, which is the Trilateral Commission, and co-author of the Trilaterals over Washington, Volumes 1 and 2, that he has co-written with the late Anthony Sutton, professor at Columbia. They co-wrote it together in 1978 to 1980. Patrick Wood was quoted in Alex Jones' first book last year, The Great Reset. According to Alex Jones, he opened with Patrick Wood. So I don't know why Alex Jones doesn't seem to see the agenda of technocracy by Elon Musk and the same ilk. So, my thoughts. The end game is technocracy. There's no doubt about it. And I feel like I don't think Donald Trump is aware with what's going on with the hijacking of his presidency by the technocrats. I don't know if he knows full well. I feel like he doesn't know full well, but I think Donald Trump is clearly being deceived. So his motivation is to make America the leading force in the world again, a superpower again. make America great again, make America prosperous again. And he feels like these are the people who will help him do that. Remember, Donald Trump is a business leader. He knows how to capitalize on other people's talents and abilities so that he can forward his agenda. But I'm worried that he won't be the leader when he surrounds himself with such powerful personalities. And Donald Trump is in his 80s already. So I think a lot of his guard is laid down when it comes to these powerful men who wants to be friendly with him. That's what I have a read on Donald Trump, that he is really friendly on people who's friendly to him. He likes people who likes him. He is kind to those who are kind to him. He he returns goodness to goodness. And even those who did harm to them, he will try and win them over. But I pray that the Donald Trump atomic energy that is coming from within him will really be a very formidable force to bring all the rest of these technocrats aligned. Because if he doesn't have that kind of energy, like I mentioned in previous clips, that he seems to have that joy, that power, that energy, that motivation that is oozing out from his own spirit. I pray that that power, that nuclear atomic energy that he has in his spirit, will be powerful enough to bring all of these technocrats aligned to the goal and to the whatever the Lord is calling him to be. I mentioned that I'm brushing up on Robert Kiyosaki's book recently, and Robert Kiyosaki was one of those in early days who has collaborated with Trump. Knowing that Trump picked Robert Kiyosaki, it was Trump who reached out to Robert Kiyosaki when he discovered his book Rich Dad Poor Dad and started writing books together with Robert Kiyosaki. Knowing that Trump picked Kiyosaki tells me a lot about Trump's character, that he really wants to work with people who are authentic, the people who are godly, and people who are heading to the right direction. And I believe that Robert Kiyosaki, even though I said the other day that I do not endorse Robert Kiyosaki 1,000%, simply because he was saying that it's not the love of money, instead it's the lack of money which is the root of all evils, which I stand by my position that you do not endorse one over the other. I think they are both, the lack of money and the love of money are both roots of evil. And the way I understood what he was saying is that it is not one but the other, which in essence, as a result of that statement, I feel like he was saying, well, you can go ahead and love money. That's how I get it the first. But 2 days ago, I saw a video clip that he made with his producers. Well, he has his own YouTube channel, right? He created this clip. The title of the clip is "Find Out What God Wants Done," and he told the story of the early days of writing the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and how certain individuals motivated him to write this, even though they did not invest in his company, or the person who he admires most has kind of scolded him and 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 told him that what he needed to find is not only what he knows, but he needs to find to make this book successful that he was trying to write when he was a young man, is not only to find what he is really good at and what he knows that he can share to the general public, but also that he needs to find what God wants done. And that's exactly what he tried to search. And when he found out what God wants done, that is one of the motivating factors for him to write the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. And first Oprah Winfrey got wind of Robert Kiyosaki. She featured him in her show, and then from the Oprah Winfrey show, Donald Trump discovered Robert Kiyosaki, and then he got him on board. So that tells me a lot of the positive and good character and personality of Donald Trump. That's why I still have a high level of trust on Donald Trump, albeit all of these technocrats are surrounding him. That is worrisome, very, very worrisome. But knowing now that one of the motivation that Robert Kiyosaki wrote the book Rich Dad Poor Dad is because he was told by a mentor to look for what God needs done on earth, and when he pursues that, he will be successful. I love that. I love that. That tells me there's a godly side on Robert Kiyosaki. So I don't know. I still do not have an explanation on the disconnect between his principle of looking for what God needs done on earth, and that's what he made to be his business. That is to me that is akin to when Jesus Christ said, I am about to do my Father's business, and when you do that, you will be successful, and I believe that. So I don't know what is the explanation in the disconnect when Robert Kiyosaki said his motivation for writing the book is he was told by his mentor or someone he respects so much that he needs to look for what God needs done on earth and pursue that, and he will be successful for doing that, and he did. And when he said on the first part of his book that it's not the love of money but the lack of money which is the root of all evil, maybe I misread. I will read that part again. Maybe I misunderstood him, but that gives me the motivation of giving Robert Kiyosaki more benefit of the doubt that he is actually a godly person. That makes me think that he is on the side of the godly Christians. I don't know yet. It's hard to discern this particular type, but I have enough information and I have enough to think that Donald Trump picking uh, Robert Kiyosaki as someone he would co-author many books together. That gives me assurance that Donald Trump is on the right side of history. But we really do need to pray for Donald Trump. Continue to pray for Donald Trump. It's only a little bit over 40 days away. Oh, less actually. Yep. What is it now? December. Yeah. So about 50 days away before he. January 20 is when he returns to the White House. I have 90 plus percent confidence that Donald Trump will bring the new renaissance to the world. He will bring peace. He will bring prosperity. He will bring back godly focus in our society. But the technocrats that surrounds him needs to be brought into line of God's agenda on earth. And I really pray and I really hope that Donald Trump will not be swayed into their direction, but he will sway them into God's direction. That is all for today. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. Please share, share, share. I'm your host, Ordinary Joe. We'll see you tomorrow on another episode of Freedom Fighter Radio, only here on the Ordinary Joe Show. Love you all. God bless you. See you again tomorrow. Bye bye.